Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home Coffee Brewing with April. I'm in Barcelona to do some roasting, but also to do some more videos. And the video you're going to see this week is actually from Paris. So when I was in Paris, and this is video number 2, I met up with Max. Max is a very kind of dedicated home brewer that also competed for the first time now in the Brewers Cup in France. So super excited to share this video and hope you like it. So we're still in Paris, second video, super excited to be here, right in the city center actually, which is really cool. And we have a pretty interesting setup here. So I'm looking forward to see, what it is we're going to be brewing.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a little bit of background story? You have a pretty fancy grinder standing here, so you're clearly a bit invested in coffee.
Yeah, of course. My name is Maxence.
Yeah.
I've been into the specialty coffee scene for the last 10 years or so. And over the last 2 years or so, I started to pick it up.
Yeah.
I invested a bit more setup, a bit more fancy.
Yep.
I pushed it as far as actually try to brew in real coffee places. Try to participate to competitions and those kind of things.
You mentioned that before you competed in your first national Brewers Cup.
I competed in the French Brewers Cup this year.
Which is amazing.
Yeah,
and you also done pop-ups then at this kind of new coffee shop here as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool to see, I think. Might I ask, so 10 years ago, coffee industry, especially in Paris, looked very different.
Yeah.
So much have happened in Paris up until now, right? What got you kind of into coffee in the first place, and where was your first kind of coffee shop in Paris?
I was just a consumer of coffee, like as a necessity before that. And friends of mine close to my workplace said, "There's this coffee place, we need to go. It's amazing."
Okay.
And was in the 10th district called Saint-Pai, which is still there. And they were brewing coffee from KB, coffee roasters.
Yeah, of course. One of the first kind of specialty coffee roasters. They have a shop here as well. Yeah.
And I started like that, and then ended up going to Substance. Then got recommended to go to many other places, Clove, Motors, and so on.
Yep, of course.
And the newcomers that opened this year.
Yeah.
So.
There's actually so many new shops in Paris. Like I've been drinking so much coffee the last few days, which has been really fun. Also new roastery, kind of. I mean, are they new? Can I say that? Datura, they're not new.
I think they're new. They started a year ago.
Okay, but then they are new. And if I understand correctly, that's what you want to be brewing today? Okay, cool.
Maybe I can show you. But
Go for it.
This coffee I want to brew today is Gesha Village Surma, natural processed.
Yep.
It's a very elegant, very fruity coffee, a lot of sugar.
Yep.
It's a coffee I brewed at the pop-up I did 2 weeks ago.
Yep, really
so I know it pretty well.
Yep.
And this is actually a brand new one, but I have one fresh
You have a roasted coffee that you want to share.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
one last roasted for you.
So for those of you that don't know, so Gesha Village is kind of distributed over a few different plots of land or farms, right? And the Surma is one of those farms, I could say, within the kind of group of farms.
Yeah.
And then the 1931 is the kind of traditional Gesha varietal, right?
Yeah.
And the whole idea is that Gesha originally comes from the city or town of Gesha, not far away from where the Gesha Village farm actually is. So it's kind of the, birthplace original version of Gesha.
Which got abandoned and then came back years later.
Exactly.
And now is an amazing terroir.
Yeah, so it's quite an interesting story. We worked a lot with Gesha Village at April back in the days, not so much now, but I can see that it feels like the quality is coming back. Also, as you mentioned Substance, I was just there for the first time
How did you like it?
2 days ago. Substance, I mean, Joachim and I go way back.
Yeah.
I know him from, Tel de Café, and I remember him serving me a coffee there, and I was so I got so excited over someone being so excited to serve coffee, and I think Substance is like his little playground, and it's quite amazing how he deals with service being a one-man show with that many people.
There's
and the orders and the ways
it,
right. No, 100%, right? And he really, my kind of definition of a high quality, good coffee shop, or maybe in his case, coffee experience, is when you feel there's a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
And when you feel that he serves coffees that he wants to serve.
Yeah.
And I think he is succeeding in that, right?
Yeah.
So he truly gives, the coffee he wants to share with you. That's what he shares.
Yeah.
So really, really interesting for sure. And I mean, recommend it to everyone. You should come.
If you can go, just go anytime.
Make sure you make a reservation before.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you won't get in. For sure, 100%. Yeah. But we tried Gesha Village. I've also tried this roastery a few times now that you're going to share now.
Yeah.
It's also really interesting. Should we maybe touch a little bit on, because you mentioned then, so you had one coffee that was roasted yesterday or very recent, which means the coffee you're going to brew now is obviously a bit more rested.
Yes, it is.
What is your thought about resting coffee?
So after many attempts and lots of wasted coffee, I think the nice range is 2 days, up to 2 days after roasting, and then from 2 weeks after roasting, because between this period of the 2 days and 2 weeks, the coffee closes down, the casks are still in the beans, and all the flavors you want to get are going to be tuned down. Yeah. So from those 2 weeks, it starts to expand up, open up to a point where like a month afterwards, it's blooming. Yeah. But I had very interesting trials with very fermented coffees where they were too expressive when rested, so I managed to...
You actually needed to brew them
to brew them,
okay, interesting. Never. So I haven't really thought about that, but I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. It's also linked to, I find personally, a little bit depending on the style of roast machine you're using. It might be beneficial to rest for different times, but it's interesting that you mentioned this, very fresh coffee can taste very good, which I actually agree with too. But then you have, as you say, almost like 2 weeks there where it just doesn't really play out the way you want to. The coffee is degassing a lot, it's changing a lot, and then you don't have that kind of clean kind of character to it, right? No, super interesting. So how much coffee? So you don't have so much coffee in that jar, no? What is the brew size you're looking to do here?
I'm going to be looking to do 12 in 200 art.
12 and 200, okay. So classic April, kind of.
Classic game does. Cool. I play very, very simple recipes because I want to make something that is consistent and repeatable. So to get the same outcome all the time or improve where I want to improve. So I try to stay within standard ranges.
Definitely. And do you want to, so let's talk a little bit about the beast in the room, right? Because not everyone has this at home. Funnily enough, which I mentioned to you as well, the Jordan that we did a brewing video with yesterday, you're going to see the week before, this also has the same grinder. So it's like a thing in Paris. But, you talked a little bit about, you looked at some other grinders, you had some other ideas. Like how do you end up with this? Is this the first grinder you have owned, or did you have another grinder
that's
before?
Not the first grinder I've owned. I started, when I started my journey, I had the Arius Curtain.
Okay, cool.
Very kind of cheap, but it does the job. The distribution is not perfect, but it worked. When I went electrical, I went to, what's the name? The very standard one.
Like a Vario maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
So many ones.
Okay. Those kind of things. And then I went, when I travel, I have a small Time More stream and grinder. And then this is for home.
Yeah, very cool.
I mean, it's too heavy to carry anyway.
100%, And do you like, for the people watching, because we do have new people watching that are not really familiar with this, like, do you want to break down what is the grinder, what's the name, what's the model?
Yeah, so this is a Weber EG1. This is probably the top of the range in terms of electrical grinders. You have a 10 microns pad step that you can configure with this wheel. A lot of things are magnets, so it's very easy to tear apart, to clean up whenever you need to do maintenance on them. And I think what is huge, so I think it's 80 millimeters burr, something like this. And the huge thing is close to zero retention. So this is, for me, it's like I put 12 in, I have 12 out, and this is perfect.
This is perfect.
Very cool. Probably, professional setup. It's not the case, but I brew 3 to 4 coffee at home a day, so it manages.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I mean, obviously, there's many different ways to brew tasty coffee, but the grinder is important. Let's be honest, right? Like, obviously, the raw material, the green coffee itself, the roast, but also next step, I would say, grinder is important, right? Yeah. And water as well.
I think water
which
is
you
the
already
one
kind
that
of.
is,
I mean, I'll see the Apax box standing here, so I'm assuming you have done something interesting water-wise.
Yeah. The water, I think, is the undervalued one.
Yeah.
People never think about this, and
yeah, sure.
It makes the whole difference.
Yeah.
The water I'm using. So interestingly, a lot of people use that in France in specialty coffee. Yep. This is Montcalm water. This is mineral water with a very low TDS.
Very low, yes.
So it's very neutral.
Yep.
But it makes a good coffee, but it doesn't bring what I want from it. So the way I tune it is adding some Apax inside, and my recipe is 1 gram per liter of Apax lilac to bring a bit of the sugar in the floor, and 1 gram per liter of Apax jam to give it a kick.
Yeah.
If I do more than that, it starts to get chalky, and that's unpleasant.
So no tonic.
No tonic.
No tonic. Okay, interesting. This is extra interesting because I tried this water in the other brewing video that you already seen without any minerals.
Yeah.
So that was just clean.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested to see how.
Do you want a cup of the water?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So this is always a good thing, and we do it a lot at April in the stores. The coffee will basically taste like the water you're using when you're brewing. That's something that I think a lot of people are missing sometimes. And I already said this in the other video, but let's repeat myself a little bit. It's fine. We're doing an Apax collaboration now as well. We're doing a specific April mix. We've tuned quite a few things.
There you go.
I'm not going to share too much here, but you guys get to try it in the future. Okay. So a little bit of texture to it, but still very kind of like clean and smooth.
Yeah, I try to keep it clean. I just, when I brew, just want to bring a bit more of the sugars.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah,
let's try it, no?
Yeah, of course. Let's go.
Yeah.
So one thing I do, and I never did before I trained for the competition, is to sort my coffee beans.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Do you want to share a little bit why is that a thing, and why should someone that never sorted their coffee sort their coffee?
Yeah, of course. So when you have your coffee beans, they can be inconsistent in terms of size. Some beans have exploded during the roasting, and they're not gonna have the same taste as the rest, or they did not develop and they are a bit crimply. And same thing, all of those things we call quackers. And they're gonna create inconsistencies in the brew, and maybe just ruin the brew itself. So we oftentimes try to make it like maybe those ones, for example. In a home setup, I wouldn't always throw them out. But if the beans is cracked,
in a competition, And I think this is actually such a valid point, and it's something that we see a lot. I think across the board in different roasteries, but we get that as well. And I think one always really good example of this is Ethiopian heirlooms, or even if they're single varietals. They usually come in a range of size. And if you actually spend a little time at home and you sort out, let's say, the smallest ones and you brew with that, and you sort out the largest beans and you brew with that, then you can have two very different cup experiences from the same coffee. So it's really interesting. Okay, so you run some water on them as well?
Yeah, try to...
For the retention thing or for the extraction thing?
For the retention. Try to remove a bit of the fines from the outcome.
On top of one, and you're 800 microns?
800, yeah.
Okay.
This is fairly coarse. I'd say one compared to V60 on origami on like 6-7 increments up, which is, I think it's like 29 in a Comandante, something like this. I don't feed bean by bean, but close.
You pretty much do a slow feed.
Yeah.
What do you think is the main difference for a slow feed? Like, what's the value here?
I think it's the consistency. Yep. If you pour all the coffee at the same time in a grinder, it's gonna be a lot for the burst to go through.
Yeah.
And of course, bigger chunks gonna pass by. But if you slow feed it, the grinder has the time to respect the consistency. And the interesting thing with this grinder is that it actually adjusts the rotations, the RPM, to make it so that if you say I want 100 rotation per minute, it's gonna adjust and say, oh, you have a lot of coffee in there, I need to make it 150 or something like this.
To be able to get that same quality, right? Because the amount of beans you're putting in the burst at the same time makes a difference on the grind quality, right? So all of this really makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So you have the April Ceramic, I can see.
Yeah.
The very, very first version, it looks like.
Yeah. And
I'm assuming you got it from Tel de Café?
Yes, I did.
I know my homework, yeah.
Let's warm some water.
We have to give you some April paper filters, I can see.
Oh, it'd be lovely.
But we have Kalita, right? Is it because it's... is there something specifically you like with that, or is just what you happen to have at the moment?
That's what I happen to have at the moment.
Fair enough.
I think those are the ones you can get the most easily in Paris.
Yep, definitely. Paper filter is always, obviously we have the April paper filters. We also have a collab with Seabarist. But paper filter is one of those things, I think in all brands of brewers, it's really fun to try different ones. Yeah. And it really makes a big difference. So the microns of the paper filter, the material being used, all of that really have a big impact. So one can almost argue that instead of buying 10 different brewers, you could buy one brewer and you can run with, let's say, 10 different paper filters.
That'd be interesting. I'd love to do that.
You haven't done that already?
No, I have not.
You have to?
I'm a standard guy. I run with Cafec paper filters and the Kalita one.
No, but paper filter really makes such a big difference. And if you put the Kalita paper filter, which is obviously made for a Kalita brewer, and the April paper filter made for April brewer, but if you put them in the same brewer, you brew side by side, big difference. Yeah. Right? So it's a way to manipulate the quality of your cup without making it too complicated for you, right? So, and it's also more expensive it's more affordable to buy different paper filters
of course.
than to buy a bunch of different brewers, right? So definitely recommend to try different paper filters, not just the April, even though you should try them too, just saying. Okay, cool. Fully so you were back looking at the water. What is the temperature we're looking at?
I'm heating up at 89 degrees.
89 degrees? Yeah. Okay, so a bit on the lower side?
Yeah, a bit on the lower.
Okay. What is the main, are you trying a lot of different temperatures or you always been on the low side?
No, that's, I range between 89 and 92, 93.
Yeah, okay. Awesome.
But with the April brewer, I try to make it a bit lower because I'm going to have a lot of agitation in the portafilter. So I don't need the water to extract more for me. Okay. So
you get enough extraction with that agitation, so you lower the temperature, which makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of different ways to create strength, so to speak, like create extraction. And grind size, for example, 800 microns is fairly coarse, I think, for most people in terms of just the grinding. You said around 29 on the Comandante-ish, right? Yeah, which is about right. Yeah. Which is roughly where I would be as well. Grinding coarse, higher flavor quality, I would say, better consistency, I would say. But then you can manipulate strength in different ways. And pouring, for example, is a very good way to do that. Yeah.
And I think you're going to be interested by the way
so he already kind of alluded that he will do something quite different. So I'm a little bit curious here.
I hope so.
We like different. I think it's interesting.
Oh yeah, please. Sorry, I didn't...
No, okay. Wow. So it almost, I have to say, smells like when I say classic Gesha Village, it means the way that it used to taste, which I actually really always enjoyed. So I'm quite curious about this. So we're wetting the paper filters. Yeah. That makes sense.
And I'm going to warm the cups as well.
You're warming the cups also? Mm-hmm. Did you do that when you compete as well?
No, I did not, because it's... you need to place the cups in front of the judge before before you start the presentation. And if you do that, then after 10 minutes of speech, the cup is not working.
It's going to be cold. Okay.
And you need to pour all the coffee at the same time in a cup. You can't give them the verser and the cup, and they can't do it bit after the other. So it didn't make much change.
It didn't make much sense. Yeah,
let's use this.
That's perfect. That's like a classic competition thing to actually clean up after, which I appreciate. I think people should work cleaner. Okay, so.
Okay, 11.9.
Perfect.
Which is what I put in. When I sorted, I removed just a tiny bit.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
Go for it.
All right, so I'm gonna do 2 pours of 100 grams, and then the second pour of 100 grams.
Yep. Yeah.
And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go from center to outside in a square up to 65, 70 grams. And then I'm gonna dead center for the last 30 grams.
Okay.
To create a lot of vegetation. Once I've wetted the bed all around.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do the same thing twice.
Yep. Awesome. Go for it.
And give it a step of 45 seconds.
45 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
And is this a style of pouring like specifically for this coffee, or is that something that you do for a lot of different coffees?
This is what I do for a lot of coffees.
Yep.
I try to keep always the same pattern.
Yep.
I mean, I've made adjustments along time.
Yeah, sure.
But now that I have a pattern I know works, I try to keep it consistent to get the same outcome in the cup.
Yeah, definitely. And let's say the 45 seconds in between, is that because you're coming out of a competition and brewing 3 at the same time? Or is that a taste thing?
I change based on the coffee.
Yep.
It's in the competition I wanted to do 45.
Yep.
And I actually couldn't manage to brew 3 cups at the same time with a 45 second step.
Okay, yeah.
So I made it a minute.
Yep, fair enough.
There we go.
Cool, so 200. That's perfect.
If things go well, it should pass in 230, something like this.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very good.
What do we have? What does it actually say on the package in terms of flavor notes?
In terms of flavors, we have wild strawberry, orange blossom, apricot jam, blackberry, and orange. Do you want me to try them?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So basically, it's going to be a pretty tasty coffee, at least based on the packaging. How important? So, because I see, let's talk a little bit about. I can see you even have a Chengdu roaster.
Yeah,
which is cool. You have obviously Substance. You have some Stockholm stuff, Standard Coffee.
Yeah.
The kind of pinkish bag. I don't know what that is.
This is hydrangea from the US.
Okay, awesome. Never actually seen their packaging, but I've heard about them quite a lot of times. Did you try the Chinese one?
This is brand new. I haven't tried it yet.
No, okay, because I think that's quite interesting actually. Because you don't always see, or do you see Chinese coffee often in Paris?
Never. No, but interestingly, the roaster is worked in France back in
that's
time.
what it is. Okay.
And worked in France with Hakim and back at the Terre de Café.
At Terre de Café.
Yeah. Then
very nice.
Went to China and started. I think this is one of the first light roasts we have had back from China in Europe. Yeah, and there's very few places you can get it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then T-Bar, one of them, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I saw it there yesterday. Very cool.
So we are 245. It's not all done. This is very debatable, but I'm in favor of stopping the brew, even if the bed isn't dry.
Yeah.
Instead of over extracting. Although from the test I've made with the brewer, it's very hard to over extract with the April brewer.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I think like this is not to. Let's also publicly. Let's put it like this: if that was an April paper filter, that would be highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The paper is a bit
part of the
thick.
stalling here as it comes from that paper filter, right?
Yeah.
But that's also totally fine, and I think as you said as well, like it's there's a lot of different ways to do this, and I know a lot of competitors also, for example, that would do that same thing. The only thing, if you do it when you compete, you need to make sure the actual brewed liquid is the same, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously there've been inconsistency in the taste quality. But very interesting. So we're expecting a very floral cup.
Yeah, and a lot of sugar.
A lot of berries.
Yeah.
A lot of sugar, yeah.
So, let me keep. Maybe you missed one thing I just did, but
what did you do?
Instead of swirling the coffee in a carafe, which can be inconsistent when you want to get the cup, I use my cupping spoon, and I always give the same numbers of spoon in the same with the same pattern, the same intensity, to make sure when I brew several cups, I have the same distribution within the carafe.
Okay, very good. Was that something you did competition-wise also?
Yeah, it's something I did not do for the competition, and I got told about.
Okay.
Because I didn't do the same swirls for all the carafe, so now I've tried to make it.
Consistency is everything when you compete, right? You have to treat all of the 3 coffees you serve exactly the same.
All right.
No, very cool. I'm excited. It actually smells really floral. It smells quite berry-like also.
Yeah.
Like it smells good. It smells like a good coffee.
I hope you're gonna like it.
And
do you prefer to pour all at once, or
you do your thing?
Let's pour a bit.
Let's do it the way you normally want to.
And then we'll give it some time to cool down.
To cool down. Okay. So you always let the coffee sit. Yeah.
I'm even if I brew at a not so warm temperature, my favorite phase of the coffee is like when it's body temperature, around 40 degrees. Yeah. So after 3-4 minutes of resting, and this is where it's the most expressive. And
I think it's difficult to argue with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I know, it was actually something at Substance also. I think Joachim was almost like, you don't drink this too hot. You wait, you wait. And it makes sense. People might think it's a bit nerdy and pretentious, but it's true. Coffee tastes much better in a mid to low temp. For sure.
There's a physical
It's more
logic
opened up.
to it.
It's more balanced. Yeah, for sure.
And when the coffee when this is a very nice coffee, drinking it a long time, it expresses something different. You're not gonna have the same aromas and the same flavors when it's warm and when it's cold. So.
So you definitely get a bit of the structure and the mouthfeel. You have the same in the water glass, right? So when you drink the water, you have a similar kind of mouthfeel sensation to this. What do you think? I don't want to say too much.
I think there's a bit of bitterness. No, I'm not.
Okay, then you're very picky if you think it's a lot of this bitterness.
That I'm not very happy with, but overall, I'd say it's a juicy texture.
Yeah.
You have a medium plus sugar, like a brown sugar that comes with it. The acidity is kind of low, but it's normal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something people don't know, but sugar and acidity is something that grows in invert.
Yep.
So when the coffee is warm, the sugar is high and then the acidity is low.
Yep.
And when it cools down, it reverses.
Flips. Yeah, definitely. I would say this is actually, I think the little bit of that bitterness you're talking about, that comes from that, the fact that a lot of the liquid has not gone through. So basically the strength or the ratio that you're using is different from what you intended, right? But in my head, this kind of orange blossom, stone fruity sensation is quite clear. I wouldn't say it's any strawberries here. For me, it's not a very red cup in terms of colors.
No, I think it's
more... But it's quite enjoyable, no?
Yeah, for sure. It's more a pinkish and orangey kind of vibe. Yeah, the orange blossom is something interesting because I feel like you don't get it too often in coffee. Yeah. When it's a real...
I would say if orange blossom is something you're looking for in a coffee, Esmeralda.
Yeah, of course.
That's where like the go-to, like I think main, almost like trademark taste sensation, Gesha was from them.
Yeah.
100%. So nice.
Like the natural or the wash?
We buy both washed and natural, and it's one of the few farms we buy naturals from, especially when it comes to Gesha, because I think it's still undoubtedly such a clean cup.
Yeah.
You have to be a bit careful these days. Like the selection is less clean today than what it used to be. But it's still like, I think if you're going for naturals, then go Esmeralda because you just have that kind of cleanliness to it.
Yeah, of course. And those are coffee that benefits from being lightly roasted.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want a bit more?
Yeah.
There we go.
I've had so much coffee in Paris though, but
it's
I don't mind it. I said it as well yesterday. Like Paris is. Someone asked me, if maybe I said this in the other video as well. No, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna repeat myself because it's worth saying. If someone would ask me where in Europe to go and drink coffee at this point, I'd say go to Paris.
I think so too.
Like if you can choose London, you choose Copenhagen. Obviously, I mean Oslo has Tim Vendelbo.
Yeah.
Copenhagen also has some good roads. Not dissing ourselves here, but as a collective, interesting, dynamic coffee destination
happening in Paris
that is showing a range of experiences.
Yeah.
And some good cups of coffee. Paris.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think so
without
too.
a doubt.
I've had the chance of traveling a lot and go and taste coffee a bit in the US, up to Japan,
very good.
all across Europe. And I think within Europe, I'd say Paris is the most interesting scene at the moment.
Yeah.
Denmark is very interesting as well. Yeah. And London is a third.
Yeah.
But London's a bit more traditional, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think it has that. It's not, it's not as tasty.
It's not traditional in the sense it's not good. It's like traditional in the sense of you see more expected cups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is a lot of strong. Maybe I will talk to Adam again and see if we actually can work with some of this stuff, because this is, again, like I think they were extremely good.
Yeah.
In like 2017, 2016, 2018. Then they dropped. I think the quality wasn't there for a few seasons. But I started to try a little bit the last 2 seasons, and now also what I'm tasting in general now is like getting better and better. So interesting farm to kind of look out for in general, Gesha Village. Should we do a bit of a recap here so that people know that what you've done?
Of course.
Coffee roasted by?
Coffee roasted by Datura.
Yep.
This is Ethiopian, Gesha Village, Sorma, natural processed.
Yep.
Very cool. It was roasted a month ago.
Yep. Pretty much.
The grind size, we going pretty coarse, something like 29 on a commodity.
Yep. 800 microns for those of you that want to be really nerdy about it.
Very precise.
Yeah.
12 gram in, 200 out.
Yep.
With the Kalita Paper Filters, which I'm not super happy about.
And I mean, again,
it did the trick.
It did the trick. It's a solid cup of coffee, no doubt. Apax water.
Apax water.
Yeah.
So low mineral.
Yep.
Water plus a bit of Apax inside.
Yep. And when you say 1 liter, do you mix that like in your bottle, or you mix it in the?
I mix it in the bottle because I know the bottle is 1.5 liters, so it's very easy to do the measurement.
Yep. Is there any rules on how long it can stay, or you just keep it forever? Or?
No, I don't keep it forever. I keep it up to 3 days. I'm
up to
done
3
with
days.
the bottles.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. If you can do it for the sake of just the cup of coffee, this is amazing.
Yep.
But it's very hard to do as well.
Yeah, sure.
This is very strong and very concentrated. So if you just put it in a cup, you can shift the cup to a point where you're gonna lose the flavors of the coffee up to the flavors of the minerals.
Yeah.
So I try to do it for a big dose.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then we run 12 gram dose, 200 grams water. We do that 2 pour, 45 seconds in between.
Yep.
You go up to 65, was it? Or 68?
I went to 65.
Yeah, and then you go center. So 65 up circle, and then you go center. And then target brew time was about 240. 230.
I stopped at 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But you were looking for a faster brew time.
I was looking for faster. I think if I move it just one bit, it'd be good.
It's going to move a little bit faster. So if you are trying this recipe at home, just make sure that whatever grinder you have, that it generates that total kind of brew time of around 230, 240-ish when you're brewing, and then you should be fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's a good place to kind of wrap things up. Thank you for having me in the first place. I really appreciate it. It's super cool.
Thanks for coming up to Paris.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. As per always, comment, share all of this. I'm pretty sure, I mean, you're probably on YouTube in some capacity, so if someone asks a question, maybe you can go.
I'd love to. Yeah, I can answer on the videos, yeah.
We'll figure that out. So we answer, I answer, we all answer. So we create a little bit of a nice community, you know, obviously that's what we're doing this for. We want to learn more about those April brewers, right? So with that, just want to say thank you again. It's been great.
A pleasure.
And thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.
Thank you, folks.
We want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to continue to make these videos. And we want you all to feel free to always come with suggestions and ideas on the content that you want to see, because we are doing this for you and because of you. Thank you from all of us here at April.